Hi, everybody. I am just going live while I make some cards because, again, still behind on cards. And I'm going to use the Graphic 45 Deck the Halls set. I don't have all of the stuff, but the stuff that I do have. So I'm going to start by pulling out some papers and seeing what we got. And I hate to admit it, but I often save this page and cut it up, even though they give so much paper. But you know, it's pretty. That'd make a nice journal cover. Also, on a weird only paper crafters would understand note, their paper smells amazing. So I have cut up, I don't know, a handful of half sheets of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, so 5.5 by 8.5. I have not pre-scored it because depending on what I find in here, I might decide that instead of doing a standard fold, I might want to do a gate fold or a Z fold or something. Hi, Tina. Trouble. I feel like that's some self-awareness there. You're not supposed to talk to yourself, girl. So, I'm going to just pick a page and use that to start. This paper smells unduly nice. I know that. Again, weird. I'm aware it's weird. So I'll just start with the simple a cut apart page, which may mean we have to get some. I like the ones that already have sentiments on them when I'm trying to do this mass making. Not all of them do. And then some background paper. I'll take this one too. Stay. So these are their background sheets. Blue pattern and solid, holly green pattern and solid. I feel like the green is a nice background for the start. They are gorgeous. And I do have some rub-on transfers that go with them. I don't know if we'll use those today since I'm trying to do easy peasy. So I don't know who all mass makes cards, but all right. So there's a weird, why do we have to choose? Some of these I may use once I cut them, but do you see how there's like this weird border above this? I'm going to go ahead and cut it to just a little above that line because I feel like it's going to have an awkward border if I don't. So if I do that at 4 inches, that puts it right on the line. Yeah, I'm going to have to trim them a little bit. I think my old trimmer, I had these opposite, so I'm going to have to remember not to use the wrong blade or flip them. So, how was your evening? Did you get some rest? I got some rest, and then I got woke up this morning because my husband was letting the dogs out, and he always thinks that they'll just come straight back, and he lets them all out at once, and then it's a big cluster. And then there's yelling. Not the dogs. You didn't rest? Well, that sucks. So I had gotten up. I'd let Tommy out quietly. I hadn't fed him or anything so that he wouldn't wake anybody else up. And, you know, Tom gets up. He does stuff. Absolutely no concern for anybody else's sleep cycle. I'm not sure what that's about. I'm not sure why that's a dude thing. Oh, well, that's crap. I don't think I went to sleep until like 1:30. I was watching, sometimes I just watch videos about different kinds of pets for no reason other than it helps me relax. So. Like, and it doesn't matter what kind of pet somebody keeps, and when they're passionate about them and they love them, it makes me smile. So I spent more time last night worrying about that we were naming her Jack the Ripper when I don't want her to rip paper. And I'm like, well, maybe my tear ruler should be Jackie the Ripper, and she should be something nice. Dude, I'm telling you, I will say when he is living someplace else, there will be a while where every sound wakes you up because your brain is like, it's weird for him to not be here. But it was a long time till I started sleeping, but I spent the entire time Duncan was living at home and I was doing it pretty much alone. I spent almost every night not sleeping. Like, if he so much as breathed sideways, I was up. So, of course, it's a different kind of worry when they're not at home. So it isn't like it just is a magic pill, but it is different for sure. And especially if you can trust who you're with. Like, Duncan's overnight care now is somebody who's been with him since he was at the school he was at. So forever. That's very helpful. Can I even make myself make cards out of these? Okay, I'm going to cut them just to start and we'll see what happens. I do have, it's 2 of each page, so theoretically I have a whole other set. I feel like maybe since, I don't know, you're one of my crafty friends. As a junk journaler, if instead of making you a card, I sent you this with a note so you could put it in a journal, is that okay or is that cheating? Yeah, I did that too because I ended up with my second set of children. Luckily, I mean, they were 4 and 6, so there was slightly less momming necessary, but there was still, middle of the night stuff. But okay, so it wouldn't be offensive to do that because I mean, I feel like I wouldn't flinch at getting one of these in my. Then I sort of feel like I should add it to a card, but I guess I could like use a. Yeah, I need to switch my blade border. Put it in like a store-bought card, which could be something you could use. I just realized I haven't turned my lights on. You could have told me it was dark as a pocket. I can see fine because it's daylight and I have my overhead light on, but my desk light makes a huge difference on camera. But like in a Christmas card that I have that I got to, add to journals, I feel like this could be like, the ones you sent me that I have already started assaulting and putting in my journals. You did see that I had been using those, right? Like this cluster has a piece of the silver from the cardinal. The cardinal got cut out and put in my main journal. Ow! Do not stab yourself with your blades. Am I about to put these back in the exact same order I had them? Yeah, I figure that's the nice thing about junk journal people. They're not going to, and crafty people, or even people who know that that's what you do. They're not going to be like, what do you mean you cut my Christmas card up? Like my very favorite page in my journal that I'm going to have to get a new, it's sort of my everyday journal. I don't journal every day, but if I was journaling every day, is one I made from, well, this one is a card that a client gave me. So I still have all of the stuff she wrote to me. But this, so it was this gorgeous card, but it was huge and it was clunky. And if I'd have put it in a box someplace, I would have never looked at it again. So as it is, I have the inside, well, this is the envelope. And then I have the parts here where, you know, what it said on the inside. So all of it is still here, but I get to look at it all the time. And then this was the greeting. And this was, she got me it was this t-shirt or a hoodie that was the Life is Good thing, which as t-shirts and hoodies go are like the softest, bestest. Like the softest shirts are Lucky brand, but they're not the best quality. Tommy, please go lie down. Tommy would like us to go run an errand and get Starbucks because he gets a puppy cup, but I have got to do some cards. All right, I just shoved them all together, like the ones that I need to take the ones with backgrounds out. That actually makes life really easy because I can add some little extras or whatever. Those are all those. To these, and maybe paint some bling on and send them, and people can shove them into their Christmas journals. I did have somebody ask me to make a card with this one, so I may have to break down and use that to make a card. Although it's not somebody I know personally, so I always feel compelled to be like, he doesn't want to snuggle. He wants to go right now. Like he's happy. He keeps going back to Lily's bedroom and napping. So we'll do 4 1/4. Gatefold or Z-fold to start? I have to know before I do the first cut. I still have staining under my fingernails from last night, by the way. Girl, we were on super late last night. Two and an eighth, right, for gatefold? Aww. Did I just do 2 1/4 instead of 2 1/8? I bet I did. Yep. How do we feel about an offset gatefold? Let's see how bad it looks, and then I'll fix it as needed. Morning, Jess. I have your paper set aside and your name on a mailing label here, so I won't forget today. Okay, well, I shouldn't forget tomorrow is what I mean. Like, I've done all of the things to make me remember. Well, it's an offset gatefold, so purposeful, right? We did it on purpose. So that means cut a strip 2 1/4, and then I'll trim the one down. Or yeah. we made the decision just to, I was going to make cards out of these, and they have this on the back. And so my junk journal friends, instead of getting handmade Christmas cards, are going to get these inside of possibly store-bought Christmas cards. Not all of them, but some of them, that's what they'll get instead, because I cannot make myself glue that down. It's too pretty. Aw. $5 1/4. My new trimmer seems pretty content today. Or I seem pretty content with my new trimmer. Depends on how you look at it. And I'm sticking to the... It's the only thing I don't like about Glue Runner is I end up sticking to the paper. But if I use regular glue, I end up stuck to everything. Do you have this one too, Jess? Or do you just mean Graphic 45 in general? I just, they have the prettiest paper. So that makes that 2. So 1 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. I accidentally made an offset gatefold, Jess, because I didn't measure correctly. So we're going with it. Going from oops to ta-da. That's our plan. Yeah, so it's not that, okay, well, blue is on my list of favorite colors. Purple is my favorite color, but I really do lean towards blue. And at Christmas, I love red and green, which, I mean, of course, I'm using backgrounds that are red and green because I have a bunch of off-brand red and green cardstock, and I'm literally trying to use it up. But the blue just makes a nice change. It's like a nice change of pace for... So since the background is offset, do I also offset this the opposite direction? No, centered. Just ignore me. Centering it is going to be harder because my brain is wanting to center it on that. Okay, and oh no. Guys, you almost let me use one of those. Slackers. Oh wait, it was me. Totally me. All right. Now, do I back these on cardstock or leave them? I kind of like that when you peek. They're not as sturdy as if I backed them, but and I do, oh wait. I might have answered my own question the old school way. Yeah, see, that's what I'm torn, but and then the other half of that is I don't necessarily want to be cutting cardstock glitter paper with my new trimmer. I think I have, amongst all my crap is some blue glitter paper, which may, that is a very dark blue though. It's like a secret sea blue. Okay, so the other half of that, and this is a very light bluey, blue-greeny silver. A lot of these are going to be cards I may drop in the mail and are not to card makers. So, thoughts? Yeah. This one I believe is supposed to be Secret Sea, and that one is supposed to be Cloud Cover, but they didn't get the colors exactly right. so they left them. So, yeah. Hi, Debbie. So this glitter paper would not be strong enough to give it any support. So if I used it, it would be a waste. If I do it like this, it's not as sturdy, but you have the sneaky little background guys. Anyone? Anyone? And I also have the option of doing some with or some without. Let's start with a couple without. This white, I like the white with the green trees. If you're not sure, I have to make sure I do it the right way. And you're trying to do like you're not doing over the line where you're doing a Z fold or a gate fold, flip it upside down so that you can make do your tape runner. Because if not, you'll put it on the wrong side and then you'll say words and somebody remind the people who buy me Christmas presents that I want that tea ruler for Christmas. Oh wait, that's me. I buy me Christmas presents. So I think my space heater is blowing at me and it feels really nice, but I just touched it's like blowing right on my desk and the desk is very warm. So I pull my drawers out and use them as like extra storage, and then when I need to get into my drawers, I regret it. Because I was going to get some white paper in case we need it. Well, we are going to need it. So inside sentiment, it's red. I can probably stamp a sentiment on there. I really, really, really liked yesterday when we had this, that it had this, may whatever brings you love, yada, yada. I'm going to try to stamp it straight on in here and see how it works. And I'm using one of my less favorite freaking stamp blocks because it's convenient. And we're going to go with the tried and true black. The best of the best black, the VersaFine Clear. Oh no. Yeah, I have lots of words that aren't words. I also have lots of words that are words that will get me banned. So if I like this, I will not be stamping everyone as I make it. I just want to see if this is what we're doing or if I need to put a little cattywampus, but hi, Firehorse. And I have this sitting around. Sometimes I have a stamp that's like a simple, like it goes in an old set or something, and it's something that's an easy stamp, and I just leave it on the block because I'm going to put it on that side so that it's less obvious it's crooked. Hi, Anna Marie. So if I were sending this to somebody like that was a card maker, or this is probably going to go, I have a whole stash like to the nursing home or something. And it's not that I don't make nice cards for them. It's that I make less detailed cards. I might add a die cut of some stuff or whatever. And I do have a punch that punches out little, it's almost identical. It's called a bow, was called the bow punch to that stamp I just stamped to this. It's like that, and then a slightly bigger one. And I could use that, add some stuff like these. But I am attempting to make about 70 more cards. A sow day. Slow day. A sow day would be definitely a whole different thing. All right. So I thought of an advantage to doing the Z fold instead of the gate fold. I also have these, so if on any of them I put the white on the inside, I can use these. I haven't even looked to see if there's, oh yeah, oh. We'll see in a second, Firehorse. But if I do the Z fold, I only have to cut one sheet of the extra pattern paper, which I don't have a shortage of pattern paper. Nobody panic. I also don't have to try to remember that measurement. I can just go with it. So half of 4 1/4 is 2 1/8, Cheryl. Right? A pig of a day, so shitty. Sorry. Here it is Sunday, and I can't even behave. The good news is probably the people who would be most offended are at church. They'll come on later and curse me. Okay. It works, but I find that vaguely annoying. So thoughts on a couple of these, throw that on. So this is very fine glitter. I'm going to go ahead and cut it with Jackie here. So 2 1/4. I want to take 1/8 off. No, it was 2 1/8, right? Tina, you got to keep me in line. 5 1/2 minus 1/8. Oh, yeah. I figure the people who like us find us, and the people who don't will not. And I mean, the thing about it is I have friends from all different walks of life. But I'm probably not at 51 years old going to stop cursing when I tried that in the past. I actually grew up I went to private Christian school and, mind my P's and Q's. But then at the same time, on the weekends, my dad was driving stock cars and we were growing up in the... I didn't want you to do math. I just want you to yell at me when I don't do math. I think you can handle yelling at me. Seems like you might be good at it. So this is 5 1/4. I'm going to cut a bunch 5 1/4 because that's what we're going to end up making a bunch of. And then I'll do the other measurements from there. So 2 1/4. The 2 1/8, 2, down another 8. Good. My upline is, I have been in Stampin' Up! For a little over, well, almost a year. And my upline is a lady named Christy. And I actually did no research. I found a kit I liked, watched a couple of videos with the kit, went, yeah, I want that. And instead of choosing somebody online, I chose somebody who was local to me. It turns out I probably should have watched a few more videos and maybe chosen. I love Christy, so I'm not saying that at all. So nobody be messaging Christy and talking crap. Okay, so this is, I feel like with it overhanging like that to nothing, that we either need a background piece here or to definitely mat this. Yes or no? But anyway, so Christy is here. She's within 10 miles of me. And so I chose her. She is not a super duper active person, like, which neither am I. But like, if I were to do it again, I would have probably joined under somebody that's a big deal or somebody that I watched all the time. So background paper back there. You just want me to waste my paper? I'm kidding. Okay. I cannot tell you how happy I am I bought this little space heater. Makes my feet happy. So four and a quarter, so 4 by 5 and a quarter. So I really actually need to use up my paper. So it's good that when I do some of this stuff that I do. This may not have been the best choice. It's basically a background gray. So it'll either be that. I can if I just keep making more cake, or this, which is kind of boring. Especially, so I would definitely not want to use a white. Oh, that sucks. So when did you rejoin? Did you just rejoin during the big push? I am at silver now, so I will not probably rejoin. But I definitely would. And it's not that I understand people leaving. People get to do whatever they want. But like, I would be moved up to the lady that's ahead of her. And she's actually a pretty active demo. But I don't know. I have to try to not say anything mean. She doesn't have a personality that I would be like, that'd be fun. You're still active? That's awesome. I am going to make an attempt this year to not get quite as crazy and buy every single thing that I see. So with it being a Z fold, you won't see the back the same way. So I may actually back this. And I have in the drawer next to me, I have all my random colors of green cardstock. And like I said, I am attempting to use up all of my off-brand paper because I have tons of all different kinds of paper. And this is, I wish I had 65 pound, but this is what I have. So I'm trying to balance, using stuff up. Wait, hold on. Is this? Yeah, that's 65 pounds instead of 110. So I'll use that. Oh yeah. That's kind of hard. Although, I follow Julie Davison, and it seems like she has a large team as well. But she has Zoom meetings. And so to me, if like tomorrow Christy quit, that's what I would, although again, I wouldn't want to drop back down. It's so hard. I actually am not the hugest fan of how multi-level marketing works, but I do like getting a discount, and I really do. Sometimes, they miss the mark with what I like as far as the products go, but I do like the products. But I'm not I'm not the kind of person who can just be like, because of course, I have all the Christmas goodies. This year, I have what was it called? The blue one, the one that stuff came from. You might know the name, because my problem is I don't have enough brain cells for all of the information. I have the Traditions of Christmas one, of course, and it's gorgeous. I need to make more cards with it. And then the one that we did the class early with, the blue one. But I'm not worried about using it yet, because to me, I can use it right up through winter and for stuff like that. Yeah, Jess, it's not quite as like cutthroat, but and I do worry that they at some point will do away with the multi-level marketing format, which will kind of suck for all of us. I think on the next one, when I do this fold back thing, I'm going to I'll just do an 1/8 of an inch border instead of. So I will tell you, sometimes when I'm feeling lazy and I'm making cards like this, instead of cutting all my mats, I will take these and I might just do that real quick and set them on the thing and then cut them afterwards, because I can make a approximate border. And since it's, mass making. Jess, have you ever followed Allison Stamps? I don't know anything about her team or anything. I just follow her because she's originally from the UK and is living in the US. So she's a US demo, but she's freaking hilarious. And she's definitely the kind of personality of person that I like. So follow her if you can. I think Allison Stamps is the name of her channel. But just, you can look up Allison, Alyson. And let me make sure I cut this right so I can't talk and cut. She does a lot of paper pumpkin alternatives, and she always makes cracked jokes and is funny. And I dig her personality. Just saying. So here is my trick for making sure this crap is hidden. I line it up underneath here like that. Glue or tape runner, whatever you're going to use. Try not to get stuck to it. Oh, you bugger. So it didn't go as perfectly as it could have, but I cut this piece, not the size of the frame, but the size of the inset. So like it ended up being a little in, but you're not going to notice. And let me see. Now see, if I hadn't inked this up in black, I could just put red or something, but I'm not running upstream. And I need garden green, probably would go with this best, red or garden green, like our boring red. I don't remember what it's called. Sorry, sue me. Real red. Yeah, that's it. It isn't actually boring, but it's the one that's just red. So, and I could put a Mary or something on here, but I sometimes don't think it's necessary. I mean, if you get this and don't know it's a Christmas present, Christmas card, then you stuff toenails. Sorry. Sorry if toenails freak you out. Last night I got in trouble on Vale's not here, is she? Vale, if you're here, cover your ears. We were talking about spiders, and there was much teeth gnashing in the kingdom. So, Jess, do you get paper pumpkin? Tell me why there's no, I don't have garden green of all the colors. Oh yeah, she did get skeeved out at the end, but she wasn't skeeved out the whole time. She just doesn't like them, but she isn't terrified or hate them. Well, isn't that a turd? All right, so we're using the VersaFine green too, because I can't find my little garden green or my big garden green. So if it's something that you want to stick or to emboss or whatever, VersaFine Clair is my jam. Now that's a little bit of a mix of that green and then the other green I just used, so. And I am going to stamp that while it's wet to use it up. Yeah, so, and I don't know, I find it odd because I like all animals. I love this one. So it was definitely a lot more layers. So the advantage I'm feeling with the gatefold is if I'm trying to mass make, I can do this, not have to do as many layers. My inks, I do put them in the drawer, but garden green is not amongst them. So let's see, unless it got shoved someplace to the back. Nope, I have Mossy Meadow, another Mossy Meadow, no garden green. And I know I got a garden green recently. Mother trucker. It's right here. And that wasn't even extreme spider talk. I could literally go get a vinegaroon and set it on the table while we worked and really freak people right out. And I love Ann Lar so much, but she talks about like wantonly killing cockroaches, which you can feel how you want about pests in your house, but cockroaches, they still are, living beings. So I'm like, why? And most creatures that we think of as dirty, it's not that they're dirty, it's that they're in our house because we don't have, or we're living where they lived first, or we brought whatever creature it was to our planet. What'd you eat? A bug, Tina? But no, don't eat a bug, because unless it's already deceased. So I am going to just real quick make all of these gatefolds so that I stop having to try to decide. At least not all, but a bunch, so that we can do a bunch of gatefolds without, and because my goal today is to get like at least 15 nursing home cards done, because that should put me close to where I need to be. So Jess, what kind of crafting do you mostly do? Mostly card making then, since you do. Okay. So are you a hater of spiders, Anna Marie? Were you laughing because, or you're laughing because, like, who freaking cares? They're just spiders. Oh, I almost cut it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And so I ended up this whole thing started because I made cards for a while. I've always done some sort of crafting on some level, some way. And then I ended up with, I was perusing Marketplace and I ended up with this like a $50 thing of they were clearing out their craft room. And it was all this scrapbook paper. And so I started making some cards and I started making other stuff. And then I started having to research, how do I use up 7,000 pounds of scrapbook paper? And I ended up on junk journals. And then it was off to the races. So I don't want to pay attention. That's stupid. Run and get my Starbucks for me and I would be able to pay attention. Today Sundays I take Duncan out usually for lunch. So I will head to town and probably drop some stuff off to Debbie. But that means I want to get this done, at least underway and marked off my list. I have got to come up with 2 more ATCs for my swap partner. Maybe 3 if I don't know where I put the other one. I need to lay off the crack. Oh, you don't like spiders? I can understand not caring for things, but what I do find is that the more education you have about anything, the less you are fearful of it. I would definitely have said, I've always loved reptiles, but that invertebrates did not appeal to me. And then, as you hang around with snake people, then along come spider people. And then, you're looking at their pictures of their spiders, and then you get less intimidated by it. And then you study what, they say what species it is. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder where it comes from. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, that's cool, because that's the way our brains work, is that knowledge is power. Especially if you have ADHD, like the new and novel is good. So and this morning I was very sad that you guys aren't all reptile people, because Mira, who is my corn snake, and her color is called Opal, and she will eventually basically be all white, but she's currently kind of pink. Like, as she's, becoming mature, she's still a little bit pink. And she was just peeking out, staring at me. And as I walked past, she's real slow, pulled back. And I find it funny, because they definitely have personalities. I will tell you that I am a fan of most things, Anna Marie, but anything that sneaks up on me. I love my children, but if they sneak up on me, I might back fist them, because I don't like being startled. It takes a lot to startle me, but if you do, you are responsible for what happens, not me. My kids are like, I don't know why we can't scare you. I'm like, you don't want to scare me. I'm not built for running away. I'm built for standing and fighting. Yay! Our scoring is done. Oh, mother of 2 dogs. Sometimes when I do gatefolds, I think, why do I do gatefolds? They're stupid. I know that by the time I put the stuff on them, you won't be able to tell, but like, I feel like even when you measure it perfectly, it does not come out perfectly. And this is 110-pound cardstock, so there isn't any like changing your mind and refolding. It's once it is scored, it's on. Like I might be able to uncrooked it, but I can't unfold that. And I would have to do far too much thinking to figure out which way I would need to. So this one I would need to score. I'd almost need to score from the middle to be precise. Figure out how to make it so that if anything, it overlaps and I can just trim it. It's fine. It's perfectly freaking fine. A side quest. I get on a lot of side quests. Okay, now that one is just cattywampus. That one is... I try to blame my trimmer, but it was that's definitely a me problem. Well, that worked-ish. I think once I put the trim on it, you won't notice that I crushed the poor corner. Yeah. Nothing to see here. Oh, that is not so much better. So this is one of the reasons I actually really do like the Stampin' Up! Cardstock is it's not 65 pound, but it's also not 110 pound. So it's not quite as extreme. And so when you jack it up, you can, or like you can do one side of your gatefold and then bring the other to meet it, because this stuff, yeah, well, luckily right here is where our little piece will be to hide it. I don't think my grade school math teacher would be impressed with my skills today. Yeah, 110 pound is not forgiving. But I find that for this, where I'm not putting a bunch of layers, 65 pounds, I got to do something about my nails. All the ink and crap I got in them making the Defember Ember stuff last night on Pam's channel, out of control. It'll be fine. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's very hard for me to leave stuff not perfect. I mean, I try not to be a perfectionist, but it's very hard to not want to be. ADHD, making you both not be able to focus and hyper focus all in the same day. You been doing any painting, Firehorse? So I don't know if people know this or not, but when you make a score, somehow I made this one, it was one way and one the other, but you're not actually supposed to fold it towards like where you made the divot. You're supposed to fold it this way because you've created extra, you've stretched the fabric, the material, it's not fabric, but the material back here. So it's actually meant to go that way. Hey, look, one that was almost perfect. Yay. So I think the next time I score this, I'm going to score to here. And then I'm going to, instead of scoring from 2 1/8 from this side, I am going to do 4 1/4 over, because then no matter if this is off a little, then this one will adjust. That's the theory, at least, right? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm not counting them. I was going to count them. I will just start doing it. I really do kind of want to put glittery on here, and I really do own a lot of excessive glitter paper. Like the silver stuff I have like 3 packs of these. So what I'm going to do is, this is my old blade, and I'm just going to add her on here. And we're going to use that one just for the glitter paper for the moment. And so these are 2 1/8. So we'll do a bunch of 2-inch strips and then cut them, and then we'll have, then I can take the glitter blade off. See what happens when I say I'm going to do simple? Do not go up there. Thank you. So this is very unusual for me because I cut my paper up and then I cut my paper down the next one, because that keeps your blade even. I mean, you could also, if you're not good at that, flip your blade. Look at the pretty strip we have to put on something. So Jess, as far as Stampin' Ups goes, I don't really do much with my team because I don't sell much. So my team is more just like incidental, like people have joined because they watch my stuff. But you're more than happy to always hang out with us if I do stuff with it. So Pam is on my team, Karen McCoy, and Jenny, who is sometimes here. So, but because Stampin' Up isn't my primary job, I don't do it like some of the big names who aren't so big that they don't care anymore. But they do, monthly meetings, and I guess it's something I could find a way to do, but has not been so far everybody's has joined for the discount on my end. No, not the new blade. You go back down here. And I watch several Stampin' Up people, but I feel like what they do, they make cards to, you know, like, okay, we'll make 2 cards with this brand new set and never use it again because we have to use the other set. And that is exhausting to me. What's for lunch, Firehorse? I will probably be stuck with burgers today because it's Duncan's day to choose. And Duncan is mentally 3 for the rest of eternity. So hamburgers or Mexican food, which I'm okay usually with Mexican food. But we had Mexican food twice this week already. So I'm doing these 2 by 5 1/4, these pieces. And if I was short on glitter cardstock or needed circles or something, I would absolutely do this kind of thing. You just have to make sure you have enough border. Use your die cuts, cut out the middle, because we're going to be covering this up with pattern paper, or at least in most cases. Oh, I just had a thought. I had a thought for another card that we can do. So we'll pick one of these that's real cattywampus and I'll fix it. I'll pimp it out. So this is the part that gets tedious, is the, you know, when you're mass making is, well, the mass making part. Oh, you know what? You just said noodles, and that made me think. We have a place here in the U.S. called Noodles and Company. And you can get like pad thai, you can get mac and cheese. So anything that's a noodle pretty much. They also have veggie noodles if you're so inclined. But that actually doesn't sound bad for lunch. So, and Duncan likes Noodles and Company because he gets the tortellini rosa, which is kind of a spicy tortellini in red sauce. Well, it's kind of a pink sauce, but yeah, he likes that. So I probably can influence him to pick that. And that sounds really good. And we don't have our younger kids. So I have teenagers and then at Duncan, and they can eat me out of house and home. If we all go to Noodles and Company, it adds up, because even though it's fast food, it's not cheap fast food. I assume fish fingers are what we would call fish sticks here. So what did you do to the person who scared you, Tina? Somehow I missed that. Oh, I'm gonna. Hey, Tina, tell me if I miss anything, because I'm on Top Chat and there's my mouse. My mouse is buried. Why doesn't it just automatically do what is big in terms of craft? I don't know. It depends on, like, Craft Roulette can have 300, 350 live people watching. As far as Stampin' Up demos, I would say Connie of Simply Simple Stamping, Karen Titus, Julie Davison, the people who have $1 million stamp sets named after them. Oh, okay. Fish sticks here are pre-made, what might be fish in breading. So it's just like what we call chicken fingers here, only I don't know that people buy fish in fish fingers. So I'm sure we have something that we use that way, but I live very inland and there's not a lot of good fish to be had here. A lot of people from other countries, other worlds, who it's hard to fathom being 8 hours from the closest ocean. No, it's fine, Anna Marie. She was just asking because she is a Stampin' Up demo also. And like, to me, a big so Bitty Penny is obviously a big crafting name. She's not, in her case, not Stampin' Up. And she's how I found Pam and most of the people I follow. Louisa, that kind of thing. But I was assuming she meant along the Stampin' Up lines. So some of it depends on what your thing is, but for junk journaling, I would say treasure books and that kind of thing. 49 Dragonflies, Louisa Heinzel, Tim Holtz, which I don't follow. And then, you know, like there's all of the people who do collage but the funny thing is I think a lot of us fall in from those big channels, and then there is some appeal to smaller channels where like you actually get acknowledged. Also, I didn't know lives as they are over here could be like they are, where people actually talk to each other in the chats. And, you know, like right now we have Lynn who had a heart attack and we're all concerned about her, and like in a genuine, she's a person we know kind of way. But it depends on what you're wanting. If, you know, sometimes the new big ideas you're going to get from places like Tim Holtz. For me, it's probably not going to be worth it because I just can't with the huge channels and the not, I don't know. I want the bar where everybody knows your name. Like I want you to yell Norm when I come in, or well, probably not Norm since that's not my name. Okay. So this is the only time of year that I wouldn't be completely freaking out by all of the amount of glitter that is coming off of here. Why does that look like I cut? Please don't tell me I cut them all completely wrong. I'm going to have to trim all of them down because I did the border, the top and bottom border, 1/4 of an inch and other an 1/8. It's fine. It's perfectly freaking fine. On a positive note, I'm already using a blade I don't give a crap about. So 1/8. Please don't get sticky all over. I'm sorry, new trimmer. Yeah, and that's the thing is it's like this, I feel like this group of people, this, you know, community that we're in, people do share each other's channels and they do, you know, talk to each other. So I took 1/4. That's 2 1/8. Okay. Should just be an 1/8 off. I'm not going to put tape on it this time, but I'm going to check because it feels like I'm doing it wrong. Also, I think some of the big channels, like there's no admitting that you mess up like stuff like this. And I really think we all need to know we're not alone in when we F up. Yeah. And that's what I found Pam through Bitty Penny. And then I have found, I was part of, because of Pam, I was part of a hop at Halloween. And now I'm about to be part of, I don't know if they're calling it a hop, but it's kind of like a hop. Well, it's not a hop. It's a daily thing for Junk Journal UK. And when we do that, it's going to be, is it ridiculous to put it just straight on the glitter? Is that too much? Yeah. So Pam I found Bitty Penny because I found Bitty Penny's not live videos first and then ended up on one of her lives. And it was so much friendlier than some of the big, which part of it is in the bigger groups, you just get lost. Like the chat's going so fast, you can't. I'm gonna put another layer over it. Okay, so I'm gonna put all of these on first because we're mass making. We're not finishing one card at a time, people. Tina's not keeping me on task. And oh wait, I have to trim all these freaking good. Oh, Debbie started here. I don't know how that happened. Maybe it was like, this lady won't mind that Cheryl's a redneck Hoosier, because she is too. No, I'm not. By the way, that is not insulting. I also identify, I am a Hoosier and I identify as a redneck. somebody else calls me that who doesn't identify themselves as a redneck, it's probably going to be on. And I don't identify as a redneck in the shoot guns in the sky at New Year's kind of way. I actually, at my own birthday party, almost told my friend's husband to eat it. Well, I almost said some real words because I was drinking. But he literally, my dog is named Othello. And if you don't know that Othello is the name of a character in Shakespeare, that's perfectly fine. But I do. But also Othello, the part of the reason the play is famous is because some of the character, there's a black character or some such. I don't even know why that the black and white thing is issue for that. And there's also a board game that's called Othello, which has black and white pieces. So Othello's playing. Dan says, "Oh, is he named Othello because he's black and white?" And I looked at him. I'm like, well, the whole litter was either black and white or blue and white. And so this one's skinnier than the others. But I named them all Shakespearean names. And he just looks at me. He's probably on the spectrum, so that's why I didn't actually tell him to eat a bug. He goes, and his wife's trying to stop him. Well, I guess somebody's going to have to take away your redneck card. And he knows me through his wife and through horses. So he sees me at horse shows. He sees me making jokes. I am the snarkiest, intelligent person. I'm unlikely to hang out at a party with the people who are arguing over the newest information in physics. Even if I could, I want to hang out with the goofy people. So but he literally said, well, we're going to have to take away your redneck card. And I said, do you know that I have a science degree, or are you just, willfully ignorant of it? No, I didn't know. So you not paying attention meant you got to be insulting? Look at all these little lovely trims that we have if we want to use them on stuff. Let's pretend I did that on purpose. And then I wanted to give Jackie feeling that she is loved in her new home. Anybody who missed it yesterday, Jackie is my trimmer. She got named Jackie the Ripper yesterday. Thanks, Anna Marie. Are you trying to, what can I learn in English today? All the cuss words from Cheryl's channel. So I think, Firehorse, that British people automatically tend to get my sense of humor because I have a little bit of that dry snark where sometimes people are like, was she serious? But also just a more intelligent. I don't mean to say that Americans aren't intelligent, but our humor tends to be like goofy dad joke kind of humor across, if you watch American comedy, that tends to be, whereas British humor tends to be more like sneak around the back and poke you in the eye instead of coming right at you. No, your English is amazing, Anna Marie. I know that my Spanish is enough that I generally, if I'm listening to something in Spanish, I understand most of what's happening. But I could see there being a lot of confusion in some areas because it's nuance that I don't get. Remember how I was making simple cards without a lot of extra? Somehow. That didn't happen. Let me set this on here before I glue it. Okay. Look. Now I've just lost what's left of my mind and just was putting glue on the wrong thing. Luckily, it's within the borders. And you know what would have happened if it wasn't? I'd have just cut this flap off and pretended it was on purpose. Oh, yeah. And so I have some friends who, several friends who are from lots of different places all over the world. But I also lived in Australia for a while. I was an exchange student, so they have a very British sense of humor. I watched Monty Python in college. It's just that thing, you know. So my humor runs both. Like my dad raised me in the pits of stock car races while also sending me to private Christian school. So I'm very both twisted and good at pretending I'm not twisted. No, she is not Spanish. Oh my God. I just glued those to each other. Don't tell me to pay attention. You're oppressing me, Tina. And my Starbucks has not been. It's funny because Starbucks is currently in our area doing free delivery, except for I live way outside of anybody's delivery zone. The only business close enough to me that might consider delivering would be Hunter's Honey Farm. And I don't think I need honey delivered. If I rode through the woods, I could ride my horse over to the honey farm. Uh-oh. Sorry, my farrier's messaging about. Somebody tell me, is the 22nd a Monday? Yes. Okay. I can tell her yes to the appointment. And I just had to tell her that one of my horses has since passed away. Yeah, I love, so my British friends, one of the things I love is their ability to insult unintelligent people without the unintelligent people knowing they've been insulted. It's fine. That I would probably not have heard that. I have different things set up. So my actual messages from people like that, you know, my kids and people that need to get a hold of me, my sister and stuff, those will beep through even if my phone is on no ring. Specifically, my daughter's, hers will ring through no matter what, because that girl could get lost on our street. So I need to know she can always get a hold of me. I also made sure she had like my sister's phone number in her phone, and like she has 12 options for emergencies. Um, right. So the southern version of the being British is the bless your heart thing. Which the funny part of that is I got some paper at Ollie's that was like, it's wallpapers, like a book that's supposed to be like wallpapers, from a designer whose name I didn't recognize prior to that. And one of the papers in it says bless your heart. I'm like, this is hilarious because it's it's mean. So anybody got anything good going on today besides sitting around crafting? I mean, not that that's not what I could do. I realized yesterday that like I was in this craft room for like 6 hours straight yesterday, and I was very happy. And then I went and made some boozy hot chocolate and had some really good, actually British cheddar cheese on some crackers and went to bed. And I am most likely going to run out of this. Have to go to Real Glue, which I might have one more tape runner. At Christmas time, I go through the tape runner. I try to use liquid glue the rest of the year because it's just definitely more financially aware and, you know, better for the environment. Yeah, see, that one's dead. But at Christmas, when I'm nailing out this many cards, come on, there you go. And Jess, do you use the Stampin' Up! Tape runner? I have never bought any because to me, it hasn't seemed like the price isn't better and it doesn't seem like worth it to try a new one. Bless your heart, yeah, is when somebody says bless your heart and they're Southern, they mean that what you just did was really stupid. Like, so if you're like, does it sting when you touch this, you know, when you pet bees? And they, oh, bless your heart, honey. So yeah, it's basically that God needs to help you because nobody else can. And Southerners get a reputation because they've even proven that without any other information, people will assume somebody with a Southern accent is less intelligent than a person without a Southern accent. Because it's been tied, like, you know, in satire to being unintelligent. Right. So what I do is I almost never shop at Hobby Lobby for reasons. But if I do need a bunch of tape runner, I either go to Meijer, which I don't know if you have Meijer, Jess. You're in Texas, so I don't think Meijer's kind of a Midwest thing. But they have their Scotch tape runner refills for cheaper. And then Hobby Lobby has their it's these, whatever the tape, AdTech. The refills for this are like $8 for a pack of 6 or something. So they're cheaper than anywhere else. So I never get my Michael's coupons. I need to talk to my sister. I use her phone number because she's a teacher. So I always get a discount, 15% off. But that means that she gets all the points, but she doesn't shop there much. I might tell her to check and see if we got some points that we need to go spend. But yeah, I'm all about getting the cheapest. And, you know, there are people who do a tiny bit of adhesive, and I don't use this. I almost never use this in junk journaling because, you know, stuff going in and out of pockets, you need it to stay. I would say 80% of Christmas cards we send go in the trash and within, you know, the next year. So I do not try to use the most expensive stuff. I don't keep every card I get, but a lot of my like if I get, people make me cards that are cool. They go here. So I have multiples of these. Also good for ideas. Oh, well, see, but I have the app. But my rewards go to my sister because I use her phone number so that I get her discount because teachers get a 15% discount year round. So whatever, even if it's already on sale, I think clearance is the only thing you may even get it on clearance. I don't know. So I type in her phone number instead of mine. I am short by a couple of pieces, so Jackie and I are back at it. I'm going to be brave and see if she'll cut 2 at a time. And I will try to remember to take my half dead blade off and put some nail polish on it or something so I know what it is, because In case you missed that fire horse, I have my old blade on here so that I'm not cutting glitter paper with my new good blade. So take it off and set it to the side. Salt must think your name is, its name was in Latin because salt means to jump. Like, yeah. There. Stupid. It comes into my head and I have to say out loud. Sorry. Now it looks off balance again. I'm going with it. I'll be sure the nursing home gives this to people with macular degeneration or something. I like that we're all living vicariously through people's meals. I am always off balance. What's your point? What are you going to do about it? I'm not sure why I feel the need to stack them back up, but they're kind of all over the place right now. They need some sort of semblance of control here. And I am going to actually, why is my good ruler always hiding? Because I've had it out and I've used it and then not put it back where it belongs. So this is my favorite ruler and I don't even remember where I got it, but it's like just a Westcott, but it's pretty and it's plenty heavy. Why did I end up making something that's going to be an awkward? So that's 1 3/4. So we're going to go 1/8 smaller than 1 3/4. So that's 1 5/8. I know I have a marker. And this should just be 5 1/4. Nope. Should have been, it's pretty close. Yeah, so we're going to start big. If we have to trim some pieces, we will. So 5 1/8. Oh. Have you watched Andrea Nelson art? The lady that does, she does watercolor. And a lot of times when she's working on something, if it starts to go awry, she just says, it's going to be fine. I know it looks weird now, but it's going to be fine. So. So if you struggle with numbers, like we're taking 1/8 off of, you can just put it to the number you know and then slide back 2 ticks, or the number you know and slide up 2 ticks. I can read a ruler, but then sometimes my brain tells me that I'm wrong, and then I second guess myself 52 times, and sometimes it's just easier to do it backwards. I believe it's Andrea Nelson. She does some really cute, let me see, I'll look real quick before I tell you wrong. Yeah, see, and that's definitely not the right size. Andrea Nelson Art, maybe. Yeah, Andrea Nelson Art. So if you want to find it, Anna Marie, you can. Yeah, I like when I can use centimeters for stuff because it is easier. Um, and I grew up with inches, but I just think the whole eighths it's funny because I can do it when I'm measuring for construction or whatever, but something about I just get myself I convince myself I'm wrong and then freeze. Well, are you freaking serious? I'm going to have little scraps that aren't the right size. We're going to go just a hair shy on these so that they're both the same. And then I can get 2 out of it instead of just 1. And then I'll have to cut another sheet in a second. It's okay. I underestimate. Oh yeah, some of these are already a little short. The last 2 I made too short. Make me some tea, please. Cream. Well, milk, please, and 1 sugar. Tagged. Okay, you have to tell me what sentence I used it in. It's a pain in the booty to do an extra layer to do the glitter, but man, the glitter really makes stuff pop, doesn't it? Each of these needed an 8 off. I have a bunch of people being sneaky and not liking and hanging out. Yeah, because metric is easier because dividing things by tenths are better, way better. Oh, she tagged me in something. Is that what you're talking about? Yes. I think that Firehorse didn't know for sure what you're. So she she added my name on Discord, Pam's Discord server. So that would ding my phone. That's what that was about. Now, the one good thing about glitter paper, because it doesn't want to stick, is it doesn't want to stick. So if you get your crooked, it's easy to straighten it. Yeah, look, blingy. I haven't figured out why they would name something Discord when Discord means, well, it does not mean anything great, like not getting along, being off key. Like, I feel like it's almost, to me, it was, I'm like, did somebody think they meant discourse, like conversation, and then they got it wrong? So Discord is like a old school messenger thing, Firehorse. And a lot of us have just moved over to Discord because Pam moved our crafty chat, like our after dark shenanigans chat, over to Discord, and a lot of our member stuff. Because what was happening is not everybody had Facebook, so they weren't on Messenger, and there was a lot of I was not seeing stuff that was on Google Chat because it doesn't ding to my phone, and etc. All right, and I will come back and stamp everybody. I'll put these to the side, and we'll do stamping separate too. One card in 4 hours. That's what it feels like right at this moment. Diane, Deborah, Debbie, shit. I definitely need caffeine. It is a lot like, did you do old school, like when we used to do chat, AOL chat, and then like there were message boards? Okay, so see, I just put this tape on the wrong side. Guess what? That just means you open it from the other side. It is a lot like the old school message boards. So, like Pam just added a where to put recipes. So like those of us, like if, we're talking about our favorite food, we could share that. And, like we're doing Defember. Is that a thing that we, do after we make our makes, we can share them on a specific. So instead of it just being a chat where everything goes and you have to sort of sort through it, like if this chat, I could separate when we're talking about what we eat on, over on one side, and then what we're actually crafting on the other. It's kind of like that. Well, okay. So I've slept since then an Indiana thing, or because I don't know that I've ever heard anybody outside my family say that. Oh, I got to cut some more little papers. All right, background paper, round 2. I feel like if we do, the problem with the blue is if we do blue, almost all of our little things are blue, and it'll get swallowed. Okay. It is ridiculous how many times I want to say out loud how good this paper smells. Okay. So I love this page and I want to use the front of it for something else, but look at this. Candy cane bits for the win. Ooh, I'm about to lose mine. So 1 5/8 is 1 1/2 plus an 1/8. And yes, I may not say it out loud, but that's how I talk to myself when I'm doing stuff to make sure, because it isn't that, it's that whole measure twice, cut once thing. Okay, they're causing trouble over there. Stupid glue runner. Each of these does 2. 1, 2, 3. This may not be the end of my cutting paper, but we'll start with this. But I really, really like this red. I could also use that side, except for I would have wanted to cut it this way so that if the Deck the Halls was on there, it would be like. I might actually, when are we at, so that's 6. I'm just going to keep cutting it this way. I'm not going to second guess myself. Well, I already did, but I'm not going to continue to second guess myself. Well, give him some fish. What is your problem? You must share. I feel like fish is the theme today. I think the world over eats more fish than Americans, and I wonder how much of it is because how much of it, many of us are landlocked, and how much of it is just cultural. Deep thoughts. I mean, not real deep, but somewhat deep. Also, before Pam's channel, I never dreamed in a million years that other people would just sit around and watch somebody craft like we do. Like, it's something I enjoy, but I'm like, nobody else would think that was fun. They'd be like, get me out of here. I was wrong. And I watch a lot of my lives. Like, I'll half watch and half listen while I'm doing other things. So I get stuff done and get to, if they're talking about something that sounds like it's definitely of interest to me, then I slam on my brakes and go watch and then come back. I don't mean that literally, like if I'm driving, by the way, before anybody's worried about myself. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would think that'd be the case too. So like everybody there or just you and your family? I also think my view of it is different than if I'd have been raised. First of all, there's a financial thing. Like how were you raised? Were you middle class, upper class, etc.? The higher class you are, the more likely you are to eat fish. That was true even of when they found King Richard's body. It's one of the ways they verified that it was somebody wealthy, is that he had a lot of fish. And I think that my dad didn't like any kind of fish, and so we ate what he ate, and then you develop a palate. So if you weren't raised eating it, you're not as likely. So my son eats more varied diet than I naturally do, because when he was a baby, I sort of made the choice to, like, well, we're going to eat, we'll try to do meat free one night a week, and we're trying to do fish one night a week, and to be, yeah. So remember yesterday when I said my husband had been sleeping and then he woke up and went to sleep again? He's asleep again. Oh, I don't even do that. Like, I am so old that I don't even think to ask AI crap. First of all, I watched War Games. Do you want to play a game? No, but thanks for asking. So some of these I am going to have to trim. So the ones that don't have words on it, well, even that, it has Deck the Halls there. I could technically still get away with using it this way. Yeah, I'm slightly scared too. You guys have an opinion on just whatever I feel like, switch them out? Oh, he's downstairs. I'm far, far away, as as one is. I guess as at a diagonal, he's not far from me. Well, I should have trimmed the end of that, but I'm not sure what Tommy is doing in the next room, but my best guess is that his back itched. So instead of laying down calmly and rolling around, he just threw himself down. It sounds like there was. I really kind of, it's probably hard to see. Why does it not like to focus? Come on, is it the glitter making you not focus? You're kind of a jerk. It looks like fabric there. Oh, my mouse doesn't like my glass board, if anybody's curious. I need to be able to get to my camera. Hey, do you know if you have your mouse upside down, it's very hard to control it. I need to put like an arrow on it. It's all black and I can't see. So I'm going to turn the autofocus off for half a second. And then back on. There we freaking go. Stupid jerk. I have never figured out why it does that kind of dumb stuff. I did it again. I flipped it and put it upside down instead of just upside down. I think since my sister asked for a card for somebody with that, instead of giving them the super one that I love that I want to send to a junk journal friend, I'll give her this one. Okay, I'm going to put it with the rest because I still have to stamp them. You see what I mean, though, about using these that come from the kits? Awesome. All right, so I'm going to do a couple with this. They're all going to have words on them, aren't they? Word, word, no word. No word, word, no word. If the word's dead in the middle, I can cover it, but if it's not, okay. So these, I can use that side up, and then the others I can use. Because I like both patterns, and this allows me to just flip back and forth. Because you know, that's one of the problems with our paper and why we hoard it is it's hard to cut it up and hard to choose. I'd say it's like choosing a favorite card, but a favorite kid, but sometimes that's easy. Yeah, may contain errors. Yeah, because you're not real, dude. But you know, most of what most people say may contain errors. I follow somebody who occasionally I watch them, but not very often. And there's often I have to leave because they've read half an article and then they're spouting off as if they are the new leading expert in that area. And I have to leave before I say anything because sometimes being an adult means walking away. Like you can educate stupid, but they have to be willing to try to educate themselves. I'm really digging these. Like they've been, I'm going to say simple to make in that by the time we're done, we're going to have like 20 cards and they're beautiful. I have put detail into them that maybe I wouldn't have if I had been, you know, planning ahead. Well, I was planning ahead, but if I hadn't decided to go off on a squirrel tangent. Can I make that on my channel? May contain errors or may F up at times. Hardware may be installed inside out and backwards. Oh, yeah. See, I literally had to leave. And I messaged you to tell you that if you just suddenly didn't see me in chat, it really wasn't personal. I was going to end up, because I have said something before where I just realized that, like, you know, I was swimming upstream fighting somebody who, if you argue with an idiot for too long, you're the idiot. That's what I've been taught. So I just called it and decided not to argue. And it's especially hard when, like, you mentioned something about, somebody mentioned something about your son, and then people without your grandson, any knowledge start to say some dumb crap. And it's like, how about you pause and figure out what we're talking about before you make yourself look like an idiot? We were in a live. I don't want to disparage anyone. And it was actually, somebody was a guest on a live I was on, and there's somebody I follow but rarely go to their lives for this reason. But somebody said something about Tina's grandson going to live someplace else because he's going to a care house because he has significant special needs. And Tina is a grandmother and is not young and is not necessarily healthy enough to take care of the level of need. I mean, heck, I was 40 when I was doing the care that Duncan required became more than I could do by myself. So I can't imagine doing it in my 60s. So they made some, like, immediately went to, oh, well, since your grandson's leaving, you can have mine. And then it was just on. And then it's like, with no clue about what the context is. And then even when given the context, there was never a pause and like, oh, I'm sorry, I missed the mark on that. My bad. So, and this is literally happening now. And this is not anybody who ever thinks that making a decision like that, if you didn't love your child, if you would have already given up, you wouldn't be doing it until you just completely fall apart. So the kind of people that do it and then just quit or whatever, those aren't people like Tina. This is her grandchild. She could have said, no, it's not my problem, but she did it. So to treat that like it's, flippantly when somebody has brought it up. And like I said, I feel like the way our lives go with this small of groups, we are a community, which means you pause when someone in your community is hurt. You do, even if the pause is to make some snarky joke to make them laugh, but that's within context of knowing, like, well, at least you'll be able to drink more, but not if you don't know and you aren't part of the immediate, like, knowledge base. So, we have another member whose daughter attempted suicide and has been in hospital. And, like, that's the kind of thing that if you know that, then you wouldn't say something snarky. And if you don't know, probably ask what's going on before you say something snarky. And it's been like chaos. We have poor Lynn had a heart attack, and, we do need to drink more, it seems like. Well, yeah, but old is relative when you're physically not, and like age isn't part of just all of it. It's like, are you physically able? And like, I can say, having seen photos of Hunter, that he is small boned, so probably that's helpful. Duncan is 6 foot tall and 220. When he throws himself down in the middle of a restaurant, no one can move him. I mean, unless I win the lottery and can hire a strongman person, it's wait him out. So it's also that when you're a caregiver, it's 24/7. It's not an 8-hour shift and then you go home and rest. And the other part of that people who don't have kids with special needs don't understand is that if you don't do this while you're alive, when you're gone, someone else who cares less will make that decision, and your child or grandchild, your person you love, will be someplace you didn't choose, that somebody who loved them less than you chose. So that's my take on it. It was the hardest thing I ever did for Duncan to go. First, he went to a day school for kids with special needs, and then he went overnights, and he would come home every weekend for a while. And then when he would come home for weekends, we'd battle on Monday because he wanted to stay home, and that broke my heart. And also, I went, he can't come home on weekends, and now he only comes here if we have a party or where a stranger, like not a stranger, but like, a family member who doesn't live here visits, because he can't think that his bedroom is here anymore or he wants to stay. So a couple of these I might need to do a little front sentiment. This one's light enough I can probably stamp directly on it. And this one, I only need to pay attention to right side up because you can see the back. How's that for timing? We're out of these and out of tape runner. Aw, that's heartbreaking and sweet. Like, I had one of Duncan's roommates ended up calling me mom because his mom never visited, and Duncan calls me mom. Actually, half the time Duncan calls me baby. And when you say, why are you calling your mom baby? He says, because she calls me baby. So, but it's heartbreaking, and there is no part of it that's easy, but it's the visiting and the taking care and all of that stuff that matters. All right. Well, now we're on to stamping the insides, and then I'll separate the ones that need front sentiments. Like this one probably could maybe use one, but it's still nice enough. I don't care. That one maybe. Yeah. I could also use, if I have any, I was hoping to see if there were like scraps of the blue or the green or whatever, but I seem to have used it efficiently enough. I don't have any little pieces. The only thing I have skinny pieces of is this. How dare I use my paper so efficiently? So let's stamp the insides, and I'm going to do one stamp at a time. Black ink. This would be where if you were making this, like you were making a couple of these for people individually instead of mass making, do this. And then because you did the silver, do silver embossing powder. It would be gorgeous. You could also use a punch and make little leaves or something with the silver. Oh, you freaking wanker. Okay. Everybody know the solution to this, right? Hey, I just made some sentiment strips by cutting this. Oh, and you know what else I have? This, if you guys don't have one of these, this is my strip bin. It isn't where the money for stripping goes. It's where your strips go. So when you have a little piece like this, you put it in here. And then when you need to print up, make a little sentiment, you have. Oh, I feel you, Anna Marie. There's a lot of it I don't complain about doing most of the stuff because I owned a farm before I met my husband, but he did know he was marrying somebody with a farm, and he never paid the didn't pay the mortgage for the first 20 years of the mortgage. So there's that. But yeah, I do all of the stuff. I also work full time. So part of the reason that I dropped this is I got one of my less favored stamp blocks, and it's skinny. So we all have these. There's nothing wrong with them. But when you're investing in things, these Stampin' Up! Ones really do make a difference, because this little lip, when I stamp and then come back, I'm not, I could still drop it. I have skills. Oh, well, I used up a lot. I use a lot of my little ones when I'm making, like if I was going to put something on here and make it look like it was layered, I will use the little skinny strips as fake foam tape. Does that make sense? But I have, like, if it's will fit in this box, I consider it a strip. If it's big enough to make a card with, it goes to the cards area. And if it's bigger than that, it goes back in with its friends in its original package. Here. Okay, I want to play with one of these just for fun because you guys are hanging out with me. It's good that I don't pay very much attention when I'm buying things like this kind of thing to the price, because that was more expensive than I realized, I think. What's on the front? The door. So we don't want a door. What do we want, guys? Overwhelming. I thought you were saying, oh, like you used to be a welder. I'm like, girl, you're freaking awesome. My brain. It's the candy cane. Should we do the candy cane since we have the... Oh, you want the... Who said Tin Man? This guy? Nutcracker. Is that who you mean? Sorry, it felt like I was cutting through more than I needed to, so I had to check. Is that the word? That one should be easy then. I love their rub-ons. But like I said, I'll put it on this one because I wanted to play. Move out of the way before I put ink all over the front of my card. But for my quick cards, I would usually use these for like a page in my junk journal or something to a paper crafter, so they really appreciate the beauty that is there. Whee! Look how cute he is. Now I want to put something over here. Okay, stop. It's time to stop, Cheryl. So that one is done. Yeah, look at all this yummy. So much glitter everywhere. Oh my gosh, that just makes me think. Tina, did you know that like I made somebody offended like twice in a row, and then they blocked me even on Facebook because we were talking about glitter like this, and somebody said loose glitter, and this person said, is that a stripper name? And I made the your mom comment because that is the required follow-up to, is that your stripper name? Is your mom, right? It's required by law to make that follow-up joke. They got all offended and did announce their departure and the whole thing. And I apologized and things were okay. And this is a dude. And then I made some joke that was probably borderline, but I used to date some Puerto Rican men. So I made a joke about Puerto Rican men, which is based on my real experience, and immediately realized that they were offended by it and apologized, but they blocked me and had a complete meltdown. Like, I was completely stunned. I'm like, okay, which means again, can't be everybody's cup of tea, and apparently their tea is weak. That's the thing, is it's like I didn't my mother's been dead a long time. And aside from immediately but that's the thing is if you said to me after I made that joke, my mother just passed away, I'd be like, oh my God, bro, I'm so sorry. My bad. Did they bury her with her thong? No, not really. But like, I wouldn't even expect, I was a teenager when my mom died and I didn't expect people to not make your mom jokes. You know, I might have cried, I might have what, but I also would have done exactly what I did in that chat yesterday. I would have just left without making a scene. You're unlikely to get in trouble on this chat. Tina is our moderator. She's the worst. Tina and Anna Marie, both troublemakers. But I mean, imagine, so the joke that the final offensive joke for that was that, like, so if I had dated like 5 Norwegian men and they had all been scoundrels, and I said something about Norwegian men being scoundrels, son of a bitch. So I'll cover that up with a leaf or something. That's on my finger. That's why. Then, you know, it would be within your rights to be like, girl, I'm Norwegian. Don't say that. Or my dad wasn't, but everybody else I know was. But I mean, like, you have a husband, you know if he is or isn't. It's hard to forget, Tina, threatening to take my money and stuff because of my bad words. That seems to be getting ink everywhere. Here, little paper towel. I am quite capable of getting ink on every corner of the universe if necessary. Oh. I was going to do this real quick and see if that one that I made the blip on, if that'll cover it up. Yeah, and that's the thing, but it was like, I definitely felt like that, but then I literally went on Messenger to apologize and got the, like, completely blocked. Like, the only other person I know of that ever blocked me is my children's biological mother. And I don't care. That's like finding out Satan blocked you. You'd be like, oh, so sad. And I mean, I'm aware that my being snarky and stuff, like for a while I was like, I'm not going to be snarky because, you know, I'll have more. I don't ever picture me making a living doing this. So, this is for fun, and I should not be feeling like stressed by not being able to be fun. Let's see. There. Never happened, right? So I forget who I saw was doing this. So if this freaks you out, look away. But you know how it's like hard to put your glue on? They were doing this. Plus then if you're, you know, a Gen Xer, then you get to peel it off like it's dead skin like we did when we were in school. I made some comment. I was getting bagels the other day at a place, and the lady goes, you have got to be Gen X just based on what you said. And I said, yeah, some of y'all didn't ride your bike to school, and it shows. So see, no black ink mark. rest of them, I'm just going to stamp little green weefs. Oh, I got some new to me old stamps that are stamping up little tiny Merry Christmas and stuff. I might be able to pull those off on some of these. So this is pigment ink. So the reason I'm not closing the envelopes, like I'm not shutting these right away, I'm setting them to the side, is pigment ink has to dry on the surface. It doesn't just absorb in. So it takes slightly longer to dry. So try not to stack your stuff on top of itself. And yes, I found the garden green. I could use it, but I really do like on this paper, it shows, I think this will show better than the dye ink. So I know you're brand new, Debbie. So dye ink absorbs into the paper. Pigment ink sits on the top. Pigment ink, think of it as like a powder that stays. But it stays because it's held together. But it's dye ink literally just absorbs into the paper and then once it's dry. But also I can, when this dries, I can write over and it's not going to come up the way a dye ink does, but I can re-wet a dye ink, you know, but it means I can also use dye ink for watercolor and stuff. That was a very simplified, not great explanation, by the way. Na-na. So I will go through and put some sentiments on, and this is, yeah, that's a true white, so I can use white cardstock to do my sentiments. And I have this old stamp set too that I think goes with, I have a 3 banner punch that's new. It's a current thing, but it has all of these little tiny Christmas. So I will never get rid of this one because, and I bought it secondhand. So I have not used it. I've used this one, which he's on a block. No, he's there now. But like literally it'll fit on Christmas cheer. I can put it directly on those, or yeah, ECR does great videos about ink. The other thing too is that if you start to play with inks, start with, get like the inks that I have that I'm putting in your kit, just a couple of little inks, are these little Stampin' Up! Doohickeys. They are dye ink. They are water soluble, which means if I do this, the pigment won't float to the surface. It stays mixed in. And then I can take a paintbrush, reach in my strip box. This is off-white, so. Or if I stamp with it, so this has the, that's got the dye ink on it. If I try to get that clear. This up here where it's green is because it's this stuff, but you see how it doesn't spread out? But if I do that, let me clean this. Somewhere on this mess is my little chamois again. But I used it last night during our grunge party, and so I will stamp this in this. So this is the dye ink. And I'm going to do it over here because that's sitting in that wet. Garden green is darker than I remembered. Why does my water brush not have water in it? Okay. I'm just going to wet it with a puddle like it's a regular brush. So that means you can't color over it. But if you wanted to blend down the paint, like so, it has its advantages. And I use dye ink for almost everything, and then pigments if I'm going to emboss or anything else. And then I'm sure you've heard of the distress inks that people use. Those are a combo of those things. So they have both in it, which means it's water reactive. It has white pigment in it, which makes it look like it oxidizes. That's why they're called distress oxides. So, but I like this. So see how this is not a great, you can do a light ink like that. And then obviously I just picked up some water that had extra ink in it, but this will pull that around. Here, I'll go to the straight water. So we're not cheating. And blend it because it is water soluble. I keep wanting to go into that pile of green. So like, even though that's a second gen, we were able to blend it a little. And then the other secret that's not a secret is, I need white, if I can, is that when you have that, oh, this is watercolor paper, so it'll definitely have a good texture. You can sop up all your goodies like this, or use your stamp block or a piece of plastic and make texture. So when you're buying your first inks, in general, I say dye inks. And if you're looking to purchase, let me know. I can aim you towards, these are great because you can get a refill for it and it's exactly the same. It's a pain in the ass if you have giant stamps and you have to stamp all over it because, you know, you do this instead of stamping into it. But I have like 20 of those, and 9 out of 10 times I grab these instead of the ones that are behind me. So I have, I don't know, they're $8 a piece times, so $300 worth of full-sized stamp pads back there that I barely ever use. So these are dry now. I can throw some sentiments on them later. But I need to go take Dunky to lunch. Well, I need to shower first because even Duncan would be offended at this stage. Trying to see how many we made. Fold, you jerk. And I have like 3 more of these that I didn't have more cutouts for, but I can go back to these and use the cutouts. And because these are basic colors, I could also use a different paper pad. I have lots of paper. It's a problem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've done better. I've made more in a shorter amount of time, but they are still a fun fold. Oh, that's cool. These do not want to stack nicely, but so I made, I guess I'm not going to complain. I made 12 fun fold cards in 2 hours. Plus we gossiped. I like them. Now I have to go back through and actually count and see how many more cards I actually have to make. Part of the problem is like I make different cards for my clients. I have a bunch. I made a bunch with the Mente paper for like the Ginger Cat Club friends, etc. So so I lose track of actually how many people. And the funny thing is like the last people I consider are like the family that I mail cards to every year that I probably won't even get a thank you note from. I'm just making a quickie strap for this so that they'll stay sort of smashed while I'm out and about and I don't come back to a craft-a-lanch caused by these springing open. But there is no, the rest of the year, I do enjoy mass making cards because I will donate them to the nursing home and there are other charities that accept cards. The number of cards I make that never go someplace just because I enjoy making them is a lot too. But I want to make individual cards sometimes, but I want to use up, in this case, I want to use up some of my paper because it's beautiful and part of me wants to hoard it, but I can't keep it forever. For you, Firehorse, it's easy. Watercolor is a dye ink, basically. So dye inks are basically watercolor paint, but less intense. And pigment inks are kind of gouache. Actually, that'd probably be more like the hybrid. Also, Debbie, it is important. It's good to buy a quality. I would rather have 3. So pigment inks, I would have one of these, a good black in pigment ink, a Versamark for embossing, like a clear Versamark ink. This is not going to stay. Who's Kit's to Heart? Not necessarily. So this one, yeah, pigment ink. VersaFine Clair is my preference for my black ink. And obviously I have it green and red too for Christmas. But I have basically gone all to these partially. I get some of them. Look, keep your eyes on Marketplace. I get these in all of my like paper pumpkin. And if I buy kits, like I have a whole kit of stuff I need to make. Like I bought blue ones for my sister and I'll be making those. And so I keep these out of the kits, but you can still buy a refill for the same price and just refill this instead of refilling a big ink pad, because like our Stampin' Up! Big ink pads are amazing. But when I want to stamp something quick, which is most of the time, we're doing like one card or a few things. We're not, doing what we just did. I can either just grab that little thing and stamp it, or I have to pull this whole thing out, which again, it's fine. But if I'm stamping this, it's 6 1/2 dozen in the other. And I don't do, occasionally I do like a big thing where I put it on watercolor and then I paint it in, but then I'm not going to be using this anyway. I'm going to be using my pigment ink. And you have my messenger, so if you have questions, ask me. And like I do not, like I said, this is not what I do for a living. So I do still Stampin' Up! The link is in my YouTube. If you need it, use it. But that is not what I'm doing this for. Oh, that's awesome. Send me the information separate from here, because you know how my brain works. As soon as I walk away from here, I'll be thinking about 600 other things. So I think the Christmas cheer is going to be one I choose for these two. I like the font, and that or Happy Christmas. That would make Firehorse happy. The Believe would also work. Oh, that's cool. So you failed the coping skills class, Tina? Sorry, see? That's how people have to stomp out of my chat room. I'm a horrible human. All right, guys. You're the best. Love y'all. Stay out of trouble. I'm going to convince Duncan it's that Noodles and Company is the correct answer. And then later I'm going to bling these guys up for my junk journal friends. All 3 of you. No, just kidding. Bye, Anna Marie. Bye, Tina. Bye, Debbie. Bye, anybody else who's lurking or napping or Firehorse, etc. I started to say goodnight, but no, that's not it. I'm not usually on during the day. Bye, Jess. You've been all quiet. I thought you had disappeared or passed out. Hi, Julia. We're just getting ready to log off. You can go back and watch us. We're talking crap. Oh, you were stamping. Are you doing something fun? Do you have a channel? If so, how have I missed it? Hold on, let me look, and if it's over here. Mother. Oh, you do? Well, no, you have a website. Why did it take me off of YouTube for that? We talk a lot in the replay, Julia, but here, I'll slide this out of here. They're going to spring up. We were just making Christmas cards, so we made all of these. Blingy beautifulness. Now let's see if I can get my little strap back on there. Haha, I said strap on. I'm sorry. I really do need to go. So the ink coming off your hands is relative to what kind of ink it is. So dye ink is going to come off easier. However, it's about staining. So red ink is always going to stain. Also, like in my case, I have like creases in my hands from doing like manual labor. They're going to hold ink. And so one of the tricks is be sure before you do any crafting, use some lotion, but not so much you make your stuff greasy. You can wear gloves. Also, like if you see yourself get ink on you, you wipe it off pretty quick. But like that green is probably from this, and it'll come off when that top layer of skin cells washes off. So a couple days. So, but I mean, in the scheme of things, there are worse things. It's when you use like the colors that are brown and stuff that it looks like you've been digging in the mud for 2 weeks. Oh yeah, washing your hair does help. Because, you know, you're doing like multiple washings plus the friction helps. But I do have a nail brush that I will sometimes use. But yesterday we were doing stuff for Defember. And so I was dyeing all of this. And I wore gloves for part of it, but I still am completely covered because I had some, you can't see, it's kind of a background color, but I was using that walnut stain, and that stuff really, it does mean it when it says stain. So yeah, so I made that. Juju, what the frick? Everybody's wondering. Oh yeah, you guys all went to church and behaved like civilized humans, didn't you? Uh-oh, pieces of stuff fell out. Oh well, I was sound asleep. Last night I saw you were on. I was watching like stupid facts for sleep kind of thing, and I just went to sleep because I was knocked out. You're welcome, Debbie. And I will message you because I am coming to town to take Duncan out today, which means I will be up that direction. And I can meet your roommate, or I can do it Monday, whatever So, I'll catch you guys later. Have fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, Tina. And everybody, fingers crossed that Duncan won't want hamburgers and will let me have noodles and company because it's what I want. So, have a great day, y'all. Yeah, girl, I've been on here like 2.5 hours and I need to drink tea, take my son to lunch, and etc. Bye, Julia. Bye, Juju. You go live, entertain the troops. Talk to you later. Bye.